Satsuki Kiryuin begins her invasion of the other rival schools, and Ryuko Matoi goes on a journey to search for the missing pieces of Senketsu, in my review of Kill La Kill, Episode 14. Every once in a while, an anime episode comes around that leaves me sort of speechless and leaves my mouth on the floor, leaving me wondering, what the hell did I just see? This was one of those episodes, and that's saying a lot because Kill La Kill is already pretty unbridled and insane, but this episode right here took things to an entirely new level. Most of this episode was action, and most of it was just ridiculous and over the top, and a lot of metaphorical stuff and Japanese cultural things that I didn't quite understand. But if anything, it's quite easy on the eyes, and it's a lot of fun. So, this episode sort of picks up from last week. Senketsu had just been cut up into a million pieces by Nui Harime, and Ryuko is going to do something about it. There's luckily one piece of Senketsu still left, and it is that one weird eye piece, which she actually ties into a scarf and wears that around her neck. And she has this cool sort of Kamen Rider-esque look in this episode. She goes around on this bike and she sort of hunts down the different pieces of Senketsu that are being used on a bunch of various just random students to power them up as they take over these other schools. And that's where the bulk of this episode is, getting to see the Elite Four and all of their random goons take on these schools, which are filled with even more crazy characters. And describing it is nigh impossible, but I'm certainly going to try for you. Ira Gamagori and the students here going up against are using football uniforms that they've taken from American schools, and hoping that will give them the edge in this ridiculous battle. But Ira Gamagori is literally throwing the book down on them. He is literally throwing books at them, steel books, the rule books of Honnouji Academy, and he's using this as weapons to take these guys down. And then we go over to Nonon Jakazuri, and we get to see that she's using her weird musical abilities to literally just slam these guys continuously against a wall. It's just her typical style. Loud, annoying, and classical music, but it's still very entertaining. But Sanagiyama seems like he's getting one of the more interesting groups to deal with. He's in Osaka, and he's dealing with this one asshole who's completely obsessed with money, to the point where they're using money as weapons. I don't know what the whole deal in this episode is with using weird and animate objects as weapons is, but whatever. This is Kill La Kill. They seem to not really give a shit what anyone thinks. And this guy literally has like these two Uzis that can like fire dollar bills at people. Except that it's like his money specifically. His like face is printed on here. And this scene is made really funny by the fact that Mako is with this group. And she's sort of like getting away from the whole battle aspect of it. And she's just sort of touring Osaka. And there's a funny scene where she needs money. And she asks this one guy to fire at her repeatedly because it shoots money, right? And she like really quickly is able to take all the money at once. And then she goes on like a huge shopping spree. For me, though, my favorite parts of the episode are when Ryuko finally decides to come in and join the battle, and she goes to all of the respective schools to collect all the different pieces of Senketsu. I especially love the scene where she runs into Ira Gamagori, and she runs up on her motorcycle, and she just peels out all over his face. It's real funny. And she's able to run up to all the students and cut off all of the small pieces and collect them. And she does this at all of the different schools. And at the end of the episode, we learn that she's doing this to order to bring Senketsu back to life. And there's one piece left. And guess what? It belongs to Satsuki Kiryuin. So it looks like in the next episode, we are going to have another epic battle between Ryuko and between Satsuki. But what's really interesting about this episode, and I was actually thinking about this as I was watching it, throughout the course of it, she was really badass, even without the Senketsu suit. And at the very end of the episode, Senketsu even mentions that she's actually become much stronger. So when she actually does collect Senketsu again, I cannot wait to see some of the new powers and abilities that she's going to be able to have. But otherwise, this episode was entertaining, if only for the animation aspect of it. It's, again, another one of those episodes where you're going to be able to see a lot of different things and different backgrounds. And there's just a lot of ridiculous moments. There's a moment where a dude brings out a tank, and he's covered with Kobe beef. Because it's really powerful armor, and apparently delicious steaks make for not being hurt. I don't know. It makes no sense. It's all cultural stuff. Obviously, they're in Kobe, so they're going to be using Kobe beef. But there's even another scene where, like, Nonon and her group are being attacked by these weird illusion things, and there's just shit constantly exploding all over the place. People are shooting money. The dude in Osaka has hired everybody in the entire city to take up firearms and RPGs to fire against everybody. It is just a nutty episode, and it made me realize that, you know, the entire, like, world of Kill La Kill is insane. It's not just everybody around Honnouji Academy. The entire world is nuts. and it's all like a big metaphor for something that I don't quite get yet. All I know is it's a very fun series, and it's the type of show that rewatching is like sort of mandatory, if only to see all of the cool things. So for the score this week, I'm going to give it a 10. I would give it a lower score for some of the cultural stuff that I didn't understand, but that's my bad for not understanding it. Otherwise, everything in the episode was really good. All the music moments, all the Mako stuff was funny. All the scenes with Ryuko coming in, and of course, getting to see that she's going to have to go up against Satsuki means things are going to get really, really crazy. And I don't even know how that's going to change the latter half of the season. It seems like they can really do whatever they want. So check it out, guys. Really, really fun episode. Very funny episode. Try to see if you can find all the little hidden details. I loved this episode of Kill la Kill. I could watch Ryuko run over Ira Gamagori's face with a motorcycle every day. But how did you guys feel about this week's episode? Did you have any favorite moments? Any favorite funny moments? Maybe some stuff you didn't care for? You can let me know with your comments below. And remember, guys, before you leave, hit that like button. It is the best way to support our videos. I'm really not joking there. And of course, you could subscribe if you haven't already. So, I'll see you next time, guys. Super Kami Guru 9000, out.